Throughout the single camera module, I have learnt various new skills and developed my planning, production, and editorial skills over the year. At the beginning of the year, we were given various small tasks to give us the opportunity to play around with equipment. For example, the 5x5 task, which gave us a chance to use different camera angles and shots to make a short clip that is engaging and interesting to watch. We progressed on these camera skills throughout the year after signing up to CISO, which allowed us to hire out the Canon 700D in our own time. During lessons and additional tech dem sessions, we learnt about various camera features, such as depth of field and the effect of adjusting the ISO, aperture and shutter speed, which are extremely important features, which our group demonstrated when creating our final documentary. Throughout the module, we learnt about interviewing and audio recording. Initially, we recorded a short interview using simple recording software on an iPhone application, which introduced us to basic interview and recording skills. We then expanded these skills and in small groups filmed an interview on a topic of choice. Our group decided to try out a Voxbox interview as we wanted to challenge ourselves. We used random students across the university, and this task again allowed us to develop our filming and audio recording, and it was our first time using the microphone equipment. We had problems using the Rode Shotgun microphone and gained a lot of feedback due to the camera and microphone being too close to each other. Although this was a challenge, it was an extremely useful learning stage as it helped us when filming our documentary as we were aware and understood all of these settings. I thought the challenge music task was extremely useful and provided me with an insight into the importance of the pre-planning stages of filmmaking. I developed my knowledge by creating storyboards, shot list and a schedule, all of which I've only previously looked at briefly prior to this project. I also expanded my understanding in relation to the technical aspects where we decided to use features such as the fisheye and Holga lens to fit with the mood of the piece. This task also showed me the importance of taking on roles in the group, as it shares out the jobs, making the process a lot easier to organise. As a group, we agreed that our final product may have been more successful if we improved our time management during the planning, as we did not leave ourselves long enough to storyboard and detail, meaning that exact shots of the party scene were not planned, which meant the narrative was not as strong as it could have been. In class, we researched and looked at different documentary pieces and styles, such as observational and poetic documentaries. We learnt about these styles by watching current media and documentaries to see the impact the different styles had on the audience, which gave us inspiration for documentary ideas. Our final documentary taught me a lot in both pre- and post-production stages, and I think the progress of my learning from my basic skills at the beginning of the module was clearly reflected in our final piece. A huge learning experience and development I made when creating this piece was the editorial skills I learned. Previously, I've used Final Cut Pro, however I wanted to challenge myself and use Premiere Pro due to it being used a lot more in the industry. Although this was time consuming, I think it was a valuable learning experience and I learned how to use this program from scratch by watching tutorials and playing around with different settings on the software. In the future, I would like to develop my skills even more on this program by learning how to use more complex settings and learning new shortcuts. When planning our documentary, we developed the stage even more for the music challenge. We did this by producing more documents and researching before going ahead and making the film. An early part of this planning stage was pitching original ideas to the class and then creating a more detailed treatment. This was a completely new skill for me and I found it interesting as well as quite challenging to write a short piece persuading my peers to choose and feel my passion about my documentary idea. After getting into small groups, we decided to use Ruby's idea of urban exploring, which was following a teenage boy around derelict buildings around Bristol. However, this became almost impossible due to health and safety and access issues. Although this was a huge issue and stressful at the time for our group, it taught us the importance of health and safety and the risks of different locations, which we know to hugely consider when planning projects in the future. After coming up with our new idea of focusing our documentary on the behavioural team at Bath Cats and Dogs Home, we produced various documents such as schedules, risk assessment and shot lists. By filling these out, I learned the importance of these documents when filmmaking, such as providing the actors and team members with a schedule so everyone is in the correct place at the right time, and gaining permissions by filling out release forms. If we had the opportunity to redo our documentary, I think we would develop our shot list as it was quite brief and at some points we weren't sure exactly what we were filming when on location. This could have strengthened the narrative of our piece, which I think could have been improved. I think previous tasks mentioned earlier and new skills learnt through the module acted as the building blocks and really assisted in the making of this final piece. Our group again developed our skills and used an additional radio microphone to attach to our main character Charlie to gain more audio of her out and about on location with the animals. This proved a challenge and we had some audio issues when it came to the edit and had to remove a lot of the footage due to heavy breathing sounds. Some of the audio also crossed over, which made the film feel quite jumpy and fast at points, and may make the audience feel as though they are losing the narrative as the structure is lost slightly towards the end. Through this documentary task, I learnt how vital it is to gain feedback from peers. An example of comments we received were to change the order of the interview questions asked, which I think dramatically improved the piece from the rough cut and gave it a lot more of a structure. Overall, I have gained valuable skills in this module that I can expand on in the future. I will develop these skills by attending extra DEM sessions to widen my knowledge on software such as Premiere Pro and improve my use of the equipment such as the microphones. A huge thing I learned throughout the year, in particular in the making of the final film, is how important it is to plan before, and next time I will definitely organise my time management better to spend more time on this research and producing these documents, as they are extremely important and helpful through the filmmaking process.